What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Mira D, your musical mystic and your ceremonial musician. So, today we're going to talk about sound healing, the impact of sound and music on us as beings, and how that can help to move us into different places and allow us to create with our word and with our voice.
But literally saying to change your life.
Possibilities become endless. It's like one day you're this person, and the next day you're. So today we're going to start with talking about music, and we're going to get into some real life experiences so that we can connect to how music has impacted us in our day-to-day life. So as we know, sound healing is a big thing that's become a big modality of um, helping us to heal and helping us to reset and helping us to cleanse and set ourselves free of certain things. In your own life, I'm sure there are songs or music that you've connected to that have moved you into a different place, things that have helped you to heal, things or songs that you listen to on a day to day basis that can take you from being in a low mood into a high mood. And on the contrary, where things can take you from being in a high mood to you hear a certain song and it brings you into a low space. So let's get into how music relates to spirituality first, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the science of vibration as well. So, music relates to spirituality in several ways. So, if you look at any of the creation stories around the entire world, whether that be Christianity, whether that be Buddhism, whether that be any of the religions that we can look around, we all know that sound is what created the universe. In the traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism, it was the Om. It was the sound of Om. In the tradition of Christianity, it was the word. In the beginning, God spoke the word and creation came to be. And so the gift that we've been given actually from the creator to be able to create our own reality and to be able to influence the reality that we have is our word. Why is this so? This is so because our word is a vibration, and vibration is how everything communicates. This is how we communicate with the ethers. This is how we send our breath, our spirit, our voice out into the world with our signature so that the things that we speak of return back to us. From a scientific from a scientific perspective, we know that everything is vibration. And it's not really scientific, it just is what is, if that makes sense. But in the science community, we know that everything is vibration, that there are things that are vibrating slower and faster. Solid matter is something that's vibrating at a lower frequency, whereas things like air and things like, light are vibrating at frequencies that are much higher. And so things move in that way, And so if we think about things in that way and things in that everything is vibration, and in that sound is a vibration, we can understand how something like that might influence or impact us in a certain way. It's essentially vibrations interacting with each other. So if you've ever seen water, when you've watched water and it's moving in its natural form, and you put a tuning fork in there, you can see that it shifts and changes the movement of that water. As we are, they say, somewhere between 70 and 80% water. There's so many different numbers out there. We can understand how that vibration impacts us and affects us on many levels. So, getting into the space of music and our voice and why music moves us is because if we're thinking about the aspect of all creation being made from a sound, from a vibration, from a voice, then we can understand that as we are spirits, we are also connected to music in that way. Music in and of itself is a spiritual modality. In the world of musicians, it is how we use time. So music in musicianship is painting a picture across time with sound. So an artist has a canvas, and they have paint, and that is their canvas, and they have a canvas, and then they use paint to decorate that. And a musician, an artist of the voice, an artist of an instrument, an artist of sound uses sound to paint across time, and it's painted in different timings. And if we think about that on the level of us as divine beings, we actually have all of the modalities of an instrument, right? And so we are the main instrument, and we are an instrument for spirit. And if we know anything about, like, spirituality or breath work or anything of that nature, we know that the breath is not just air. We know that the breath is spirit. And as we breathe in, we take in that spirit. And as we breathe out, we release, right? And so when we're born into this world, born into the physical form, the first thing that we see is that we take in a breath. This indicates that there is life, there is spirit moving into the body. If a baby is born and it doesn't have, like, its breath, then that's a crisis, like, because to exist in this world, we have to have not just the breath, but the foundation of everything, which is spirit. When we leave this world, we pass away, when we move into the next realm, what do? We release our last breath. As we release that last breath, we are giving the spirit back, we are dissipating that aspect, and we are returning back into the all. So bringing this back into the space of music, sound healing has become very popular because we are starting to understand ourselves as more than just physical beings. We're starting to understand ourselves as foundational beings, as beings of the spirit. Now, especially in the Western culture, we've been very disconnected from spirit and from the experience of the spirit. And spirituality has been turned more into a thing that is out there. Like, you got to go out here, you got to find God out there, you got to find this, you got to find that. But when we bring it back into the human instrument and we understand that we are channels for spirit, we can bring this into the space of understanding what our true role here is as a human being. And so, getting into the space again of music, as I've said 50,000 times. So, getting back into the space of music, we have a metronome. Everybody has their own metronome, everybody has their own heartbeat, everybody has their own rhythm. And so, in the space of rhythm, we are all moving in our own timing in the cosmic symphony. And so the cosmic symphony is all of the different vibrations, all of the different pitches, all of the different notes moving through time to create harmony. And in times, like, there are times where there is dissonance as well. And dissonance in a song can have many different roles. Dissonance can create a feeling of fear or a feeling of tension. Dissonance can also mean that two notes don't really vibrate well together as well. Like, and so if we can use dissonance in a positive way, what we're starting to understand is that dissonance can be the fuel for resolution. Like, it's the space where you can feel that something needs to resolve. There's a tension building. It doesn't quite go well together. And so it's trying to go somewhere. Sometimes that's to separate spaces. And usually that's back to, if you are know anything about music theory, usually the dissonance is trying to resolve into the next space, into something else. So when we think about music and we think about ourselves as instruments, we take a deep breath in, taking in the spirit, we bring it into the space of the heart, right? And so we bring that breath into the space of the heart. We actually vibrate that back out with our word, with our voice. And that actually gives it our signature. What we say, the words, the technology that we use to convey outward actually puts back into the ether. It kind of takes in like this neutral ether, this neutral spirit, takes it in, gives it our signature, tells us what time signature we're playing in with the heart. And then as we breathe out, as we speak, we're vibrating that back out. And now that vibration, that ether that came in its raw form, now has a specific vibration on it. And so this is to understand that, like, the things we sing about, the things we speak about, especially when we're in touch with the heart, even when we're not in touch with the heart, these are things that we are creating. And so what is in your heart matters, because your heart is your metronome. When you're in touch with your heart, when you're deep in your heart, when you've cleansed the pains from your heart that hold you back, then you're able to vibrate harmoniously with the cosmic symphony. When you are still holding on to stuff, and when you have darkness in your heart, you're vibrating with another frequency, and so that stuff is going to be created into the world. So when it comes to music and when it comes to sound healing, we feel very connected to it because it is a part of us. We are the vibrations of the cosmic song, just as um, just as a guitar is the vibration in a band, like, just as the violin is a vibration, a sound, a signature inside of a symphony, like, and so when we're in touch with our heart, when our hearts are beating and timing, when we are cleansing and clearing and actually doing our inner work, we are in harmony with the divine plan. We can move in timing, things show up to us when they need to, and we understand our role as a part of something bigger. When it comes to music, music moves us, music touches us, like, in these different ways, and different music appeals to us based on the vibration that we're currently in. When you're in a space of movements, like, dancing, feeling, like, you feel music, and that actually is what moves you and transforms lives and so on and so forth. So, as a ceremonial musician, my work is to be connected to not just the music that I'm playing, but to the moment that everything is happening. My job as a ceremonial musician is to connect to the moment and to understand what my role is in that moment. This applies to my regular life, and this also applies to playing music in ceremony. you know a ceremony and music as a ceremony is not something that can be uh orchestrated or written beforehand. It is something that has to move with the moment, with the ever changing moment. It is a thing that requires me to be in a space of understanding what wants to be played right now. Sometimes silence is what wants to be there, and that's why we have rests in music, because silence makes a difference as well. So, to conclude this video, I feel that the most important thing for us is to understand how we are instruments as well, and how, as instruments of creation and instruments in the cosmic symphony, um, we should work on ourselves and, like, utilize sound in a way that brings healing, and a way that brings peace, and a way that helps to um, give to the moment. Understanding sound and understanding music and understanding our relationship with music can actually not just heal ourselves, but can actually heal and change the world. So, getting in touch with the heart, I cannot stress this enough, is the most important thing. And understanding what's in the heart of others, the things you speak, the things you sing about, is very, very important. And we'll get into this in another video, but there's also a relationship between rhythm, between the energy centers, and between the expressions of music that we create in our day to day lives. And there's also a relationship between the reality that we're experiencing currently and how we have misused the technology of music and the technology of the word to create things that we don't actually necessarily want here in this reality. When we understand our power as human beings, we understand that we are not a poison to this earth. We can be a poison, but that innately, inherently, we are not a poison. We are actually divine tools that can be used in the way of light or in the way of darkness to be able to shift and change the world through what we're sharing, through our own vibrations, and through who we're choosing to be in this reality. It's the most important thing in the world to do the work. And so, if you like this video and if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And yeah, hit the notification bell as well, so you'll get notifications when new videos come out. As you'll see more of on this channel, I share all kinds of stuff. I talk a lot about banjos, as that is my main instrument, and I will be sharing more on just the relationship between human beings and music, and how that can help to heal not just ourselves and others, but how that can help to heal the entire world. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.